My beloved child, there are doors in your life that cannot be opened by human strength, nor by excessive striving, nor by the weary persistence of knocking and anxious effort. There are doors that open only in my appointed time, by my hand. According to my wisdom, you have stood before many paths that seemed as though they would lead you to what you needed. You have hoped and then been disappointed. You have wondered whether opportunities passed you by without ever stopping. I know that feeling. I have seen the moments when you tried to force a door open out of fear that if you did not act immediately, everything would be lost forever. But listen closely. What I have for you does not require you to break it open in panic. What I have prepared is not subject to the randomness of this world. When I open, no hand can shut. When I establish, no opposing voice can overturn. When I call you to step forward, my grace itself will make the way clear before you. As it is written, behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. Revelation 3:8. That door does not stand upon your perfection, but upon my faithfulness. Yet before you become consumed with the doors before you, I want you to recognize a deeper door that is opening within your soul. If your heart remains confined by old lies, then, even when an outward door opens, you may still walk through it with the posture of one who is bound. If you continue to believe that you are not enough, not worthy, unable to go further, unable to become who I have called you to be, then no external opportunity can heal the inner captivity. Therefore, what I am doing within you is not merely a change of circumstances, it is the opening of your eyes to truth. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. John 8:32. This freedom is not only the act of leaving a place of pain, but the release from allowing that place of pain to define how you see yourself. When you begin to see yourself through my eyes, you will no longer live under the shadow of old accusations. Perhaps you have listened for too long to voices that made you feel small. They have told you that you are too late, that there is nothing special about you, that what you carry within is merely illusion, that you should remain where you are to avoid disappointment. But I do not sow fear within you to keep you confined in a familiar prison. I did not place light within you for it to be buried beneath layers of shame. My word does not come to diminish you, but to raise you up in truth. You are not what others fail to see. You are not what your past has done to you. You are not the doors that have closed before you. You are mine, called by name, held in everlasting love, prepared through seasons you once believed were only waiting. And when that identity becomes clear within you, you will walk differently, not in pride, but in steadiness, not in haste, but in certainty, not in self-exaltation, but shining with the awareness of whom you belong to. Remember the blind man named Bartimaeus, sitting by the roadside in Jericho. For as long as he lived in darkness, he was seen only as a beggar, as one cast aside. When he heard that Jesus was passing by, he cried out for mercy. Yet the crowd rebuked him and told him to be silent. Do you see it? There are voices around you just like that crowd voices that try to silence your cry, that urge you to accept less than what I have ordained, that want you to grow so accustomed to darkness that you no longer hope for light. But Bartimaeus cried out all the more, and Christ stopped. He called him forward, asked what he desired, and then declared, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." Mark 10:52. Immediately, he received his sight and followed him. My beloved, when I open your inner eyes, you will no longer remain seated by the roadside of your own life. You will rise, cast aside the old garment, and walk in response to the voice that has been calling you all along. I know you have tried to open doors by your own strength, believing that if you did not fight hard enough, your life would be forgotten. But there are doors that have closed, not because you failed, but because I was protecting you from what does not belong to the promise. There are rejections that are, in truth, fences of grace. There are delays that are, in truth, mercy, rearranging the appointed time. There are paths you thought were opportunities, yet if you had entered them too soon, you would have lost your peace, your purity, or even my voice within you. Therefore, do not keep weeping before the doors I have not opened. Trust that your Father does not close a path without knowing exactly where He is leading you. If I hold you back, it is not abandonment. If I ask you to wait, it is not denial. If I redirect you, it is not that you are lost. In my hands, even obstruction can become guidance. And when the right door opens, you will recognize it by the taste of peace, by a deep confirmation within your soul. By the way, it does not require you to betray what I have taught you. My doors may require faith, may call you out of what is familiar, may lead you into greater responsibility, but they will never demand that you trade my presence for success. They will not make you smaller in truth. They will not force you to wear again the chains I have already removed. The path I open will lead you into growth, into fruitfulness, into deeper service, and into a truer freedom. As it is written, you make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. Psalm 16:11. Where I lead, there is not only activity, but life, not only opportunity, but presence. My beloved, the revelation within you will transform the way you walk through the doors before you. In the past, you may have stepped into new things with fear of loss, rejection, abandonnement, judgment. But when my truth sets you free, you will no longer seek permission from your past in order to move forward. You will no longer allow those who once misunderstood you to determine the measure of your obedience. You will no longer confuse humility with diminishing yourself. When I lift you up, you will remain humble, for you know all comes from grace. Yet you will no longer bow to shame. You will understand that you do not create your worth, nor must you strive to prove it. Your worth has already been sealed in my love, and from that place, you can walk with a free heart. Let me break within you the false narratives you have believed for too long, the story that you will always remain stuck, that others will move forward while you only watch, that because you have suffered, you cannot carry life, that because you have been weak, you cannot be entrusted with more. No, my child, I am the one who called Lazarus out of the tomb when all believed it was too late, and my voice still holds the authority to call life out of what the world has declared finished. When Jesus said, Lazarus, come out, John 11:43, the stone had to be moved. The grave clothes had to be removed, and what seemed bound to death had to rise before the power of life. I am also calling forth the parts of you that have been buried under disappointment, delay, lies, and fear. Come out into my light. Therefore, prepare not only your feet to walk through the door, but your heart to live as one who has been set free. Do not step into a new season while still carrying an old mindset. Do not receive what I open while still seeing yourself as an outsider. Do not stand before grace while still wearing the garment of shame. I am opening outwardly, but I am also opening within. I am opening the way, but I am also opening your eyes. I am opening your future, but I am also revealing your true identity in me. This is not merely a new opportunity, it is a spiritual transformation, where you learn to walk no longer under the shadow of the past, but under the light of truth. My beloved, when the door I open appears before you, step through it with a gentle heart and steadfast faith. Remember that you did not arrive there by chance, nor will you sustain it by your own strength. I am the one who opens, the one who sustains, the one who leads, and the one who completes. Stay closer to me than to any opportunity. Love my voice more than any success, and guard your heart in truth above every human praise. When you see yourself through my eyes, old limitations will fall away. False voices will lose their power, and your steps will regain the lightness of a soul made free. You will walk not as one begging to exist, but as one sent by the Father into what has already been prepared. And as you go, you will realize that the greatest door I have opened is not only before you, but within you, the door of truth, of freedom, of restored identity, and of a life no longer imprisoned by the past, but led into newness in my everlasting love. My beloved child, let this word go deeper than the layers of weariness that still linger within you. I have not come merely to return to you a few things that were lost, nor simply to bandage a few wounds so that you may continue living as before. The work I am doing within you is greater than outward restoration. I am reshaping you from your deepest places, the place where thoughts are formed, where fears once hid, where you once called yourself by the name of brokenness. I do not mend your life as one patches an old garment to cover its tears. I give you a new garment, a new identity, a new breath, a new way of seeing yourself and the path ahead. As it is written, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Understand this, that newness is not a passing feeling, but a sacred recreation within your soul. There was a time when you thought what you needed most was to recover what had been taken from you, a lost opportunity, a broken connection, a shaken faith, a peaceful season, a version of yourself from before the wounds came. But my child, I do not simply return you to what was, because what was is no longer large enough for what I am doing. I do not desire for you to become as you were. I desire for you to become deeper, freer, stronger, and more filled with light than before. My restoration is not the reversal of time, it is the redemption of time. I can take the years that seemed wasted and cause them to produce wisdom. I can take seasons of tears and turn them into streams of mercy. I can take the days you fell and transform them into the very places where you learned the power of my sustaining hand. The old has passed away not because you forced yourself to forget, but because my power has broken its authority over your soul. Therefore, do not continue walking as one who still feels the weight of the past upon your shoulders. What has happened may be part of your story, but it is no longer the throne that governs you. The words that once wounded you may have echoed for a season, but they are not the final voice. The moments when you were overlooked, misunderstood, rejected, or diminished do not have the authority to decide who you will become. I am the one who calls you by name. I am the one who has placed fire within you. I am the one who breathes hope into places that once grew cold. From now on, you do not live merely to avoid pain, nor simply to keep from falling, nor just to survive each day. You are called to carry fire, not a fire that destroys, but a fire of presence, of faith, of love that has been tested and yet has not been extinguished. Remember Simon Peter, who once declared that he would never deny the Lord, yet stumbled in his darkest hour. The sound of the rooster broke his heart, and his tears fell as a confession that could not be hidden. If man had written the ending, Peter might forever have been called a failure. But I do not write as man writes. After the resurrection, the Lord met him by the shore, not to crush him with condemnation, but to ask him in love, "Do you love me?" And then he entrusted him. "Feed my sheep." John 21:15-17. Do you see? Grace does not only forgive, grace restores purpose. What Peter once believed to be his final shame became the place where he learned that calling does not stand upon human perfection, but upon my mercy and my power. So it is with you, my beloved. Your failures have never surprised me. Your seasons of weakness have never caused me to withdraw my calling. The moments you wept in silence have never diminished your worth in my eyes. On the contrary, if you allow me to touch those places, they will become the very evidence that I have trained you, not through theory, but through real life. You learned patience, not in days when everything went your way, but in seasons of waiting. You learned trust, not when outcomes were certain, but when all you could do was hold on to my hand. You learned compassion not through ease, but through understanding the ache of a wounded heart. You learned to stand not because you never fell, but because after every fall, I lifted you again. Therefore, as you rise in this season, you do not rise as the same person. There is a strength within you that has passed through fire and was not consumed. There is a faith within you that has been tested but not lost. There is a heart within you that has been softened by tears, yet is no longer ruled by bitterness. There is a discernment within you, born from the times you once walked through confusion, from the moments you trusted what should not have been trusted, from the lessons that taught you that not every strong voice is mine, and not every open door is the path I have set before you. This maturity was not given by the world, it was formed in the hidden place, where I worked within your soul patiently, like a refiner, purifying silver in the fire until his own reflection appears. Perhaps you still ask, why me? Why have I had to walk through so much? Why have you placed within me a calling that feels greater than my strength? My beloved, let that question be transformed. Do not ask it from insecurity, ask it with holy wonder. Not why me as one who doubts their worth, but Father, what do you desire to do through my life? I chose you before you fully understood yourself. I saw you before seasons of pain tried to cover your light. I knew every weakness, every fear, every fracture within you. And still, my calling has not changed. As it is written, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit. John 15:16. That choosing did not begin with your achievements. It began with my loving will. When I choose, I do not choose and then abandon. When I call, I do not call and then leave you to find your way in the dark. When I entrust you with a portion, I also prepare you for that portion through paths you do not always understand at first. David was anointed king while still a shepherd boy. Yet before the throne came the fields, the lion and the bear, Goliath, the caves while fleeing from Saul, and many years of learning to trust me before the promise took form. Those seasons were not a detour, they were the training ground for the throne. You, too, have your fields, your hidden battles, your caves, but I do not waste any place you have walked through. Every season can become a lesson, a refining, a preparation for what I will entrust to you when the time comes. Therefore, do not look at past storms as evidence that you were forgotten. See them as places where I preserved you in ways you are only beginning to understand. You have not been overlooked in my plan. You are not late to the promise. You are not an extra in the story of the kingdom. I have placed within you something no one else can carry in the same way. Your portion may seem quieter than others, but it is no less precious. Your path may be longer than you expected, but it is not meaningless. Your preparation may have been more painful than you wished, but it has made you deeper, truer, gentler, opri, and stronger. In my hands, the seasons you thought were delays were often the seasons where your roots were driven deep. My beloved, receive the new identity I am placing upon you. You are no longer defined by what you have lost. You are defined by the life I have placed within you. You are no longer one weighed down by the past, unable to lift your head. You are one lifted up to carry hope into dry places. You are no longer standing on the sidelines wondering whether you belong. You are one invited in, equipped, sustained, and sent. Let your mind be renewed. Let your eyes see through my light. And let your steps move with the confidence of one who knows that your life is not self-made, but led by your Father. And as you continue to walk, remember that I go with you. I am before you to open the way, beside you to sustain you, and behind you to heal your past steps and guard you from being pulled back into what I have already brought you out of. You do not need to prove yourself worthy of the calling. You only need to remain in me and be faithful with what I have placed in your hands today. I will strengthen you when you grow weary. I will teach you when you do not yet understand. I will correct you when you stray. I will comfort you when you are in pain. And I will complete what I have begun. For this work did not start by your strength, nor will it end by your strength. It began in my love. It is sustained by my grace, and it will bear fruit in the season I have appointed. So rise, my child, not as one striving to become strong, but as one who has been renewed from within. Let the past remain in its rightful place, not a throne, but a testimony. Let what you have endured no longer be a burden upon your shoulders, but become oil in my hands to anoint your calling. Walk with fire, yet also with humility. Carry hope, yet also with compassion. Bring life, yet always remember that the source of that life is me. You have been chosen, prepared, renewed, and brought forth not to return to what was, but to become who I saw in you before the beginning, a witness of grace, a light of hope, a soul restored to reflect the unfailing love that never fails. My beloved, there is an understanding I am preparing to place within you, yet it is not like the knowledge you gather from books, from the words of others, or from experiences you have walked through by your own strength. Those things have their value within their limits. But what I am about to ignite in your mind and soul belongs to a deeper realm. It is a wisdom that does not merely add to what you know, but changes how you see. It does not only give you answers, but opens your eyes to the principles behind the answers. It does not simply help you understand circumstances, but enables you to discern my hand at work within what once seemed disconnected. There were things you once saw but did not understand, heard but could not discern, passed through without grasping their meaning. But when my Spirit brings illumination, what was vague will begin to take form. What was tangled will be set in order, and the pieces you once thought were random will reveal themselves as part of a greater design. My beloved child, I want you to remember that true wisdom does not begin in the noise of a proud mind, but in a humble heart that knows how to ask. My word has declared, if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him. James 1:5. Do you see? I do not rebuke you for not knowing. I do not turn you away because you still need to ask. A true child does not need to pretend to understand everything before the Father. You may come to me in simplicity and say, Father, I do not know how to see this. Please teach me. And in that honest prayer, I will open for you a light that does not make you proud, but brings you peace, a light that does not lift you above others, but causes you to bend lower with deeper compassion. Therefore, when I give you insight, do not use it as a throne to elevate yourself above souls who are still searching. Use it as a lamp placed in your hand to guide, to warn, to encourage, to help others see the way out they thought no longer existed. The wisdom that comes from me always carries the fragrance of holiness. It does not harden your heart. It does not cause you to despise the weak. And it does not make you speak truth with coldness. My wisdom holds both light and love. It carries discernment and kindness. It knows what is right and also how to touch people with grace. As it is written in James 3:17, the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruit. Let these marks guard your heart, so that what you receive is not mixed with pride. I will lead you into deeper layers of truth, not so that you may store revelation like a closed treasure, but so that you may walk rightly in the new season. There were things you once did not understand because the time had not yet come. There were doors you once stood before too early, and so you heard only silence. There were paths you once overlooked because they did not match what you expected. But when I open your eyes, you will see that not everything that closes is an ending, and not every delay is a denial. There are doors I keep for the appointed time. There are paths I conceal until your heart is steady enough to walk them without losing yourself. And when I declare, behold, I have set before you an open door, which no one can shut, Revelation 3:8, understand that what I open does not require you to break through in anxiety, nor can it be closed by any opposing hand when my time has come. But, my beloved, do not desire the door and forget the one who opens it. Do not seek answers and forget to remain with the one who is truth. Do not long for a new place while neglecting to anchor your heart in the unchanging love that has always held you. Before I entrust you with greater things, I want you to be rooted more deeply in a foundation that no power can shake. You are loved. Not loved only when you are strong. Not loved only when you are right. Not loved only when you accomplish beautiful things. You are loved because you belong to me. And if you are not anchored in that love, even wisdom, doors, gifts, and calling can become burdens that drive you to prove your worth. But in my love, you do not serve to be accepted. You serve because you have already been embraced. Remember Solomon at the beginning, when he was given a responsibility far greater than his own strength. When I appeared to him and asked what he desired, he did not ask for wealth, nor for the lives of his enemies, nor for personal glory. He asked for an understanding heart to govern the people and to discern between good and evil. That request pleased me, for it did not come from ambition, but from the awareness that no one can carry a sacred responsibility without relying on wisdom from above. I granted him extraordinary wisdom, yet you also see that wisdom must always be guarded in reverence for me. Therefore, when I give you light, draw your heart even closer to me. Knowledge must never be separated from worship, or it may become a path toward pride. But when knowledge remains within love, it becomes a pure stream that nourishes many. I know there are parts within you that still long to prove yourself, that still desire to be seen, recognized. Affirm that you are not insignificant. But I speak to you now with the gentleness of a father. You no longer need to turn your life into a courtroom to defend your worth. I have declared through Jeremiah, I have loved you with an everlasting love, therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. That love does not come and go based on your performance. It does not shrink when you are weak. It does not grow cold when you need time to mature. It does not place a list of conditions before you before allowing you to rest. My love goes before your response, covers your weakness, lifts you when you fall, and calls you back each time you forget whose child you are. Therefore, before every door, before every understanding, before every significant step, remain in my love. Let that love heal the way you see yourself. Let it uproot the lies that have told you that you are only lovable when you are useful, only valuable when you are strong, only acceptable when you need no one to hold you up. No, my beloved, you are loved even while you are still learning. You are loved even when you do not yet know what to do next. You are loved when you tremble before the future. You are loved in the hidden place, before any outward fruit is seen. And that love will make you more steadfast than any confidence the world can teach. For the one who knows they are loved by me will not be easily shaken by the rejection of man. From that foundation, I will shape you into a humble guide for those who are still walking in darkness. You will not lead by force, but by a light refined through abiding with me. You will know when to speak and when to remain silent, when to lift up and when to warn. For the wisdom I give is not only found in words, but in the rhythm of love. There will be those who come to you carrying the same questions you once carried. There will be souls who need the gentleness I have taught you through your seasons of weakness. There will be those searching for a way in the dark, and the lamp within you will help them believe that I am still making a path. My child, ask for wisdom, but also ask for a tender heart to carry that wisdom in a way that pleases me. Step through the doors I open, but never step away from my presence. Receive new understanding, but do not forget that my everlasting love is the place where you are born again, sustained, and sent. I am illuminating your mind, deepening your soul, and preparing you for what you have not yet perceived. But above all, I am drawing you closer to my heart, so that you may know this. Before you understood, you were already loved. Before you accomplished anything great, you already belonged to me. And before you became a guide to others, you were a child held in the unchanging embrace of your Father. My beloved, open your heart to a deeper truth than you have ever dared to believe. I do not restore you merely by placing back into your hands what was once lost. I do not return you to the beginning as though all that has passed were only a weary circle. My work within you is not simple restoration, it is elevation, renewal, and re-establishment according to a more sacred order. There are things you once lost that caused you to weep for a long time. Yet I do not look only at what was lost. I look at what will be born from that very place. There are parts of your life you thought were taken in vain, yet in my hands, even ashes can become the material for a new crown. You asked me to heal your wounds, but I desire to make you one who carries healing oil. You asked me to restore your peace, but I desire to place within you a peace deep enough to sustain others. You asked me to help you stand again, but I desire to make your steps a testimony that my grace never fails. Remember Job, who walked through a season of suffering that no human explanation could fully contain. He lost what was precious, sat among ashes, heard judgments that could not touch the depth of his pain, and at times his heart was filled with questions before the silence of heaven. Yet his story did not end in the ashes. When my appointed time came, I restored him, and it is written that the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. Job 42:12. My beloved, this does not mean the pain was not real, nor that the tears were insignificant. It means that, in my hands, suffering does not have the authority to write the final line. What once made you feel diminished can become the place where I make your life deeper, stronger, brighter, and more fruitful for my kingdom. Therefore, do not measure my restoration by the image of who you were before the wound. I do not desire to return you to what you once were. For after all you have walked through, you are no longer the same. If you allow me to work, you will not become bitter, you will become wise, not closed, you will become deep, not hardened, you will become full of compassion. The broken pieces you once felt ashamed of can be woven together into a new garment, not one that hides. but one that reveals purpose, maturity, and living testimony. Just as Joseph once wore a coat of many colors, was cast into a pit, sold, misunderstood, and imprisoned, yet in the end was clothed with authority in the palace. So you will learn that the garment I give after the trial is not only a sign of honor, but a sign of mission. I do not waste the path you have walked. I use it to prepare you for what you have not yet fully seen. But before you step into anything greater, return again to the unshakable foundation. You are loved. Not loved because you are always strong. Not loved because you have never doubted. Not loved because you do everything right. Speak every word perfectly, or appear steady before others. I love you with a love that did not begin with your achievements, and therefore will not end because of your weakness. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. When you move quickly, I am with you. When you move slowly, I do not leave. When you are strong, I rejoice to see you stand. When you are weary, I bend down to lift you. And even when you can only move forward one step at a time through a long day, I still call you my beloved child. Let that love reach the deepest places within you, the places where you once believed you had to strive harder to be accepted. You have lived too long under the pressure of proving your worth, proving that you deserve to be loved, to be heard, to be kept, to be entrusted with a part in what is good. But my child, in me, you do not stand before love as though it were a competition. You have already been accepted by grace. You have already been seen in the hidden place. You were called by name before you could do anything to make yourself worthy. Remember the image of the prodigal son returning in Luke 15. The father did not demand a full explanation, did not leave him outside as a servant, but ran to embrace him, clothed him with the best robe, placed a ring on his hand, and sandals on his feet. This is my heart toward you. Restoration is not only forgiveness, it is the full restoration of your place as a child. From that place of being loved, you can step forward without trembling before the judgments of others. Do not hide yourself anymore. My beloved, I did not light a flame within you for you to cover it beneath fear. I did not place within you compassion, understanding, a story, hope, and holy fire for you to bury them beneath layers of shame. My word declares, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60:1. This is not a call to exalt yourself, but an invitation to stop hiding the light I have given you. To shine does not mean to display yourself. It means to allow my presence to be seen through your truth, your gentleness, your courage, and your faithfulness. The world around you is filled with souls walking in the darkness of confusion, fear, loneliness, and despair. Some smile outwardly, while inwardly they are weary. Some say they are fine while their souls are dry. Some do not need a long teaching. They need to encounter someone who has been healed enough to carry peace near them. You are not called to stand above them, but to stand near them with my light. That light does not come from your superiority, but from my presence within you. When you know that you have been lifted from a low place, you will not despise those who are still falling. When you know that you have been greatly forgiven, you will not give others cold judgment. When you know that you have been loved in your weakest moments, you will learn to love with a healing love. So walk not as one seeking recognition, but as one already affirmed by the Father. Live not as one trying merely to avoid loss, but as one carrying a treasure formed through trials. Serve not to be seen, but because my love has filled you to the point of overflowing. What you have been through will no longer be chains that pull you backward. but a testimony upon your lips, that I restore, renew, raise up, and give beyond what you ever dared to hope. You are not merely recovering what was lost, you are entering into a deeper dimension of purpose. You have not only survived the storm, you have been refined in it to become a light in the night for others. My beloved child, do not be afraid when the path before you no longer follows the shape you once imagined. There are turns that come suddenly and unsettle your heart, changes that do not resemble the prayers you offered, doors that close just as you thought you were about to enter. But do not be quick to call what you do not understand failure, nor to see redirection as proof that I have not listened. I hear you in every prayer, every sigh, every silent tear. It is simply that I see farther than you see, understand deeper than you understand, and love you too much to give you something that appears right but does not truly belong to you. As it is written, a man's heart plans his way, but the Lord directs his steps. Proverbs 16:9. You may plan according to your present understanding, but I lead you according to eternal wisdom. At times, what you thought was the wrong direction is the very path I use to lead you out of places that no longer nourish your soul. At times, what you perceive as rejection is my hand protecting you from a burden you cannot yet see. There are moments when a connection ends, an opportunity closes. A plan falls apart, but behind it is not abandonment. It is mercy, quietly shielding you from what would have drained you. I do not take anything from your hands without seeing how it relates to your life, your growth, and your peace. As it is written in Psalm 84:11, the Lord bestows grace and glory. No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly. If something truly belongs to my will for you, it cannot be lost within my faithfulness. And if it leaves, let your heart ask not in bitterness, but in trust. Father, what are you protecting me from? And what are you preparing me for? I know this is not easy to accept while you are standing and waiting. I see the nights when you stare at the ceiling with a heavy heart, the moments you hold tightly to a promise that seems to drift further from your reach, the weariness within you as time passes and answers do not yet appear. But my beloved, the delay you feel is not a sign that I have forgotten you. There are seasons of silence where roots grow deep. There are days with no outward change when I am working powerfully within. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Psalm 37:7 is not a call to endure in despair, but an invitation to rest under the rule of the one who is never late. I am not only preparing what I will give you, I am preparing you so that when it comes, you will be strong enough to receive it, wise enough to steward it, and humble enough to use it according to my purpose. Consider the tree planted by streams of water. It does not panic when the heat comes, for its life does not depend solely on the rain above, but on the deep source its roots have reached. As it is written in Jeremiah 17:8, the one who trusts in the Lord will be like a tree planted by the waters. It does not fear when heat comes, its leaves are always green. So it is with you. I am teaching you to live from a deeper source than your circumstances. If your faith remains strong only when everything is favorable, even a small heat will cause you to wither. But when your roots grow deep in me, when your heart learns to drink from my presence, even dry seasons cannot take away the life I have placed within you. I am strengthening you from within before I expand what is before you. You may think this turning point is slowing you down, but I tell you, it is making you stronger. A great harvest cannot be placed upon ground that has not been prepared. A great promise cannot be entrusted to a heart still ruled by fear, comparison, and haste. A wide door should not open before you have learned to discern what comes from me and what arises from ambition. Therefore, I am building a foundation within you. I am cleansing your motives, healing wounded places, uprooting false beliefs, and teaching you to stand in the identity of one who is loved, not one who depends on external validation. This is not causing you to miss your moment. It is placing you precisely in the moment I have appointed. Remember Paul on his missionary journey. When he desired to preach in one region, yet the Spirit restrained him, he attempted another direction, but was not permitted to human eyes. This may have seemed like confusing obstruction, as though doors of ministry were closing before someone doing good. Yet in the night, he saw a vision of a man from Macedonia calling, "Come over to Macedonia and help us." Acts 16:9. What appeared to be blockage was divine redirection. Had Paul forced his own plan, he might have missed the very place where I had prepared hearts to receive the message. My beloved, there are times when I restrain you, not because your desire is wrong, but because what I am leading you toward is more aligned, deeper, and more fruitful within my design. Therefore, do not be afraid when what you see does not align with what you believe. True faith is not believing only when circumstances confirm your expectations. Faith is holding on to my word, even when your eyes see no outward evidence. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Hebrews 11:1. You do not walk by a complete map, but by the voice of the one who leads you. You do not live by emotions that shift each day, but by my unchanging promise. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. When everything outward remains silent and you still choose to hold on to me, you are stepping into a maturity the world cannot understand. I know there are times when you feel I am silent. There are days when you look around and see no sign. Nights when you whisper, "Father, are you still here?" But my child, I have never left you for a single moment. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. My presence does not disappear because your feelings cannot perceive it. The sun does not cease to shine simply because clouds cover the sky. So it is. With my love it remains. Steady, quiet, surrounding, guiding, sustaining. There are things I do in silence because if I revealed them too soon, you would not yet be able to bear them. There are answers I withhold because I am teaching you not to worship the answers more than the one who gives them. My beloved child, let this be engraved upon your heart as an unshakable foundation. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but the choice to trust that I am good even in the midst of doubt. Faith is not a feeling that always burns brightly. It is the decision of the soul to return to me, even when your heart trembles. There will be moments when you weep and still believe, when you are weary and still walk, when you do not understand and yet whisper, "Father, I still entrust myself to you." And in that choice, you step out of instability into steadfastness. The righteous shall live by faith, Romans 1:17, not by the certainty of circumstances, not by the applause of others, not by the speed of answers, but by my faithfulness. So do not resist every turn simply because it does not resemble what you imagined. Do not fear every change just because it removes your sense of control. Do not conclude that you are lost simply because I lead you along a path that is more humble, slower, or unfamiliar than you expected. I see the whole journey. I know which places will grow you, which will misdirect you, which will prepare you, which will test your heart, and which will open at the right time. You see only a portion of the road. I see the entire picture. You hear only a single note. I am composing the full symphony. Walk forward, then, with a gentle and trusting heart. When a door closes, let me comfort and guide you. When a promise delays, let me deepen your roots. When you do not understand, remain near me rather than chasing every hurried explanation. When fear rises, remember that redirection is not always loss. Often, it is the Father's hand turning you back toward where you truly belong. I am working within you before I work around you. I am laying a foundation before I build the house. I am deepening roots before I bring forth a harvest heavy with fruit. And one day, when you look back at the turning points that once confused you, you will see that it was not chaos that led you, but my love quiet, wise, and faithful that brought you to the place where your life could truly flourish. My beloved, let your heart rest in this gentle yet unshakable truth. I do not operate by the small clock you are watching, yet I am never late in the timing of heaven. You often measure my faithfulness by the speed of answers, by whether doors open immediately, by whether circumstances change according to your expectations. But I see beyond your present moment. I see what you are asking for. And I also see what would happen if it were given before your heart is steady. Your roots are deep, and your hands are mature enough to steward it. Because I love you, I do not give everything simply because you are eager to receive. Because I love you, I know when to open, when to hold back, and when to let you wait a little longer within my embrace. As it is written, for everything there is a season, and a time for every purpose under heaven, Ecclesiastes 3:1. And I make everything beautiful in its time, Ecclesiastes 3:11. What is beautiful is not only what comes, but what comes in the right season, in the right way. At the moment your soul can receive it without being drawn away from me. Perhaps you are standing in a place of uncertainty, where nothing is yet clear enough to bring you peace. Yet nothing is as it once was for you to return to. This is where many souls feel most unsettled, because you cannot fully see what lies ahead, nor fully understand what lies behind. But my child, do not call the process failure. Do not call preparation delay. Do not call silence abandonment. I do not begin a work in you and then walk away halfway like an impatient builder. As it is written in Philippians 1:6, he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ. I do not only begin by power, I finish by faithfulness. What I am building within you may not yet be visible to others, and at times even you may not recognize it. But in the hidden place, I am laying foundations, raising pillars, restoring what was broken, deepening the roots of your faith, and preparing you for what you are not yet ready to fully understand if I revealed it too soon. My beloved, there are times when you feel that I am far, but that is not evidence of my absence. Your feelings may shift with weariness, with memory, with pressure, with long sleepless nights, but my presence does not change with those feelings. When you collapse and think no one sees you, I am closer than your very breath. When you cry in the night because you cannot find a way out, I am not standing outside the storm observing you. I am within the storm with you, placing my hand upon your soul, keeping you from breaking, and quietly making a path your eyes cannot yet perceive. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. Do you see? The promise is not that you will never walk through the valley, but that in the valley you will never be left alone. My rod and my staff are still comforting you, even when the surroundings have not yet changed. Remember Daniel, who prayed and fasted, seeking understanding, yet the answer did not come immediately in the way human expectation would desire. In Daniel 10, the angel said that from the first day he set his heart to understand and humbled himself before God. His prayer had been heard, yet there was a battle in the unseen realm before the answer was revealed. My beloved, this teaches you that a delay in what is seen does not mean your prayer has not been heard. There are things I set in motion from the very first moment you spoke to me. Yet your eyes have not seen them because deeper orders are still being arranged. Do not let the distance between your prayer and its answer cause you to doubt my ear. I hear you before you finish your sentence. I see your need before you can name it. And I am working even in realms your understanding cannot yet reach. There are things you call confusion, yet in my hands they are being set in order. There are pieces you believe are misplaced, yet I know the position of each one. You are only looking at the underside of the tapestry, where the threads cross in ways that seem tangled, while I see from the finished side, where every strand, even the darker ones, forms a pattern of grace. You have wondered why a certain door closed, why an encounter came and then passed, why an opportunity that seemed near suddenly disappeared, why time stretches as though everything were suspended. But one day, when I allow you to look back with eyes that have matured, you will see that it was not chance that led you, but my hand. The doors that closed protected you. The unexpected turns redirected you. The long seasons of waiting deepened your roots. The things you did not understand taught you to trust me beyond your understanding. So do not let uncertainty shake the foundation upon which you stand. Uncertainty does not have greater authority than my promise. Time does not have the power to erode what I have planted. If you continue to bring your hope into my presence, you do not need to rush like one who fears being left behind. What I have for you cannot be taken from you when you abide in me, nor do you need to force yourself to understand every detail before moving forward. A child walking with their father does not need to know every turn in the road. It only needs to trust the hand that holds it. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Proverbs 3:5-6. I am not asking you to become the controller of your future. I am inviting you to become one who trusts their Father. I am working within you before I work around you. This may make you feel as though everything is slowing down, but it is in truth my mercy. A house that rises high must have a deep foundation. A great harvest requires strong roots. A weighty calling requires a soul anchored firmly in love. If I were to bring you into something great while you are still shaken by small things, that greatness would become a burden rather than a blessing. If I were to give you what you ask for while your heart still fears losing it, you would hold it in anxiety rather than in peace. Therefore, I am making you steady. I am teaching you to release what must be released, to wait for what must be waited for, to step when I say step, and to be still when I say be still. This is not delay meant to wound you. It is preparation so that you may stand firm when what I give is revealed. My beloved, you are not alone, not forgotten, and not outside my plan, even when you do not know where you are in the journey. I know exactly where you stand within my process. I see who you are becoming, not only who you are struggling to be now. I see a version of you that is more healed, more profound, stronger, gentler, and filled with light. And I lead you not to make you lose yourself, but to bring you back into the identity I placed within you from the beginning. What you call contradiction, I am reconciling. What you call delay, I am completing. What you call loss, I am redeeming. What you call detours, I am using as a school for your faith. Continue to walk, but walk in the rhythm of grace, not in the rhythm of fear. Keep your heart soft, for a soft heart hears me more clearly than a hardened one. Hold on to hope, but let that hope be anchored in me, not in how you imagine. The answer must come. Wait, but do not wait like one forgotten outside the door. Wait like a child within the Father's house, knowing that the table is being prepared at the right time. Isaiah 40:31 says that those who wait upon the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Waiting in me does not drain you. It renews you when you place your soul under my wings. And one day, when the appointed time is revealed, you will see what today you can only believe. You will see the pieces come together with a beauty that silences your heart in wonder. You will understand why I held you back, why I redirected you, why I allowed certain things to close, why I did not answer in the way you once asked, but instead gave something deeper than you dared to hope. In that moment, you will know that no step in my hands is meaningless. No season is wasted. No tear is forgotten. No path is beyond redemption. All of it has been my love, leading you home, not only to a place of outward peace, but to the place where your soul rests in me, knowing that you are held, loved, guided, and completed by the one who has never failed in anything he has promised. My beloved child, I have heard the quiet question you have often hidden beneath your silence. Why did I not come sooner? Why did I not prevent that moment before it wounded you? Why did I allow you to walk such a long road when a single word from me could have changed everything? I do not rebuke you for asking, for I know that question does not come from rebellion, but from a heart that has grown weary in waiting, that has tried many times to understand what is beyond its grasp. But my child, let me lift your eyes beyond the perspective of a single moment. There are miracles that do not come instantly, not because my power is lacking, nor because my love has grown cold, but because I am doing a deeper work than what you asked for. You asked me to change your circumstances, but I desire to renew your entire being. You asked me to open an escape, but I desire to build within you a faith strong enough that when you step out, you will not return to the old chains. You asked me to remove the storm, but I desire to teach you to recognize that I am the one who remains with you, even in the midst of the storm. There are seasons when you feel as though you have been left in the fire, yet that fire is not permitted to consume you if I am standing in it with you. Job once said in his anguish, "When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold." Job 23:10. Gold is not refined in ease, but in heat that reveals what does not belong to its true nature. So it is with you. These seasons of waiting are not meant to humiliate you, but to separate from you the fears, dependencies, and false perceptions that once made you believe you were only safe when everything was under your control. I am shaping your faith so it no longer depends on fleeting emotions. I am teaching your heart to love me, not only when answers come quickly, but also when the path remains unclear. I am building between you and me a bond that cannot be shaken by time, worn down by silence, or broken by what you do not yet understand. My ways are not always easy to explain through human reasoning, yet they always carry the nature of love and wisdom. You see a closed door and think you have been rejected. I see what lies beyond that door and know that if you entered too soon, your soul would be strained by what you are not yet ready to bear. You see delay and think the promise is drifting away. I see the roots of faith quietly growing deep within you. You see a detour and think you are lost. I see a path being redirected to protect you from valleys your eyes cannot yet perceive. All things work together for good to those who love God, Romans 8:28. Does not mean everything is easy. It means that, in my hands, nothing has the power to become meaningless if you continue to abide in me. My beloved, remember that I do not only stand before you to call you forward. Often I stand behind you to shield you from what you do not even see. There are dangers you never encountered because I stopped them before they reached you. There are wounds you did not have to carry because I quietly redirected your steps. There are things you call loss that are, in truth, protection. There are people who left your life and caused you pain. Yet had they remained, they might have drawn you away from the peace I am restoring in you. There are plans that fell apart and made you weep. Yet, had they succeeded according to your desire, they might have led you to a place where your soul would be depleted. I do not love you halfway. I know what is good for you, not only for today, but for the person you are becoming. I have seen every tear you have shed, even the ones you quickly wiped away before anyone noticed. I have heard the broken prayers you could not finish when strength failed you. I was there in the nights when you turned your face into the darkness, trying to keep yourself from breaking apart. As it is written, you have kept count of my wanderings, put my tears in your bottle. Psalm 56:8. Before me. Your tears are not something shameful. They are the evidence of a heart that is still soft, still calling out, still unwilling to let bitterness take the throne. Not a single moment of pain has been forgotten. I am gathering even the things you do not know what to do with, even the parts you once tried to bury, and weaving them into something better than your present understanding. Remember Lazarus, whom the Lord loved, yet who still lay 4 days in the tomb before the voice of Christ was heard. Martha and Mary grieved and said that if he had come earlier, their brother would not have died. In their eyes, it was too late. The body was cold, the tomb sealed, hope shut behind a stone. But Christ is never late according to heaven's time. He stood before the tomb and said, Lazarus, come out. John 11:43. What was declared finished had to respond to the voice of life. The grave clothes had to be removed. The stone had to give way to glory. Do you see? I am not limited by human conclusions, where people say it is too late. I can still speak life, where you believe everything has ended. I can open a revelation that makes you know it was I who have acted. But look deeper still. The resurrection of Lazarus was not only for the joy of a family, it was the revelation of God's glory. What I am doing in your life is the same. I do not act to feed your pride, nor restore you so that you may exalt yourself above others, nor open a way for you to forget the one who led you through the darkness. I act so that my love may be known, so that your heart may be drawn closer to me, so that those who look upon your life may see that grace still has the power to call life out of what seemed dead. What you thought was lost can be redeemed. What you believed had ended can be continued. What you thought was buried can be called forth at the right time, not sooner, not later, but perfectly aligned with my will. Therefore, do not let waiting lead you to false conclusions about my heart. Do not let the passing of time convince you that I have changed my mind. Do not let silence make you think you have been forgotten. I am preparing to reveal my glory in your life, but that glory is not first the noise of outward display, nor a spectacle that astonishes others. It is a deeply personal, intimate, and real touch within your soul. I will show you that you are loved in the very places where you once doubted. I will cause you to stand firm in the very places where you once fell. I will lead you to look back on the long road and see not only tears, but my hand quietly guiding you through every step. My beloved, keep your heart soft before me. Allow me to continue my deep work within you, even when outward signs are not yet visible. Trust that I do not waste your seasons of pain. Do not overlook your prayers. Do not forget the dreams I have placed within you, and do not lose the timing I have appointed. When my hour comes, what must live will live. What must open will open. What must be restored will be restored in a way that glorifies me. You will not simply receive back what was lost. You will come to recognize the God who has been with you through the entire journey. And when you look back, you will understand that waiting was not punishment, but the refining fire of love, not abandonment, but preparation, not silence, but the place where I was quietly weaving a testimony so deep that you will one day declare with your whole being, the Father has done this, and everything in his hands becomes beautiful in its time. My beloved child, I know there are moments when you are so weary that you no longer want to explain yourself to anyone, no longer want to try any harder, no longer want to rise again to hope once more. There are days when you look at what you have sown, at the prayers you have lifted, at the quiet efforts you have made, and you wonder why everything still seems silent before you. You think your prayers have vanished into empty space, that the cry of your heart has not reached the heavens, that your efforts have fallen to the ground without bearing anything at all. But child, pause for a moment and listen to the very life still moving within you. Every breath you draw is a reminder that I am still sustaining you. Every heartbeat is evidence that your story has not come to an end. As Job declared in the midst of his trial, "As long as my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils," Job 27:3. So you must know that this breath is not by chance, but the quiet mark of my preserving hand. I do not always love you through loud displays that draw the attention of the world. Often, my love comes like the morning dew settling gently upon dry ground, unseen and silent, yet keeping life from withering away. At times, my love appears as just enough strength for you to endure one more day, as a fragile yet real peace within your heart when everything outside remains unchanged, as a word of scripture returning at the exact moment to keep you from letting go. You may not recognize me in these things because your heart is tired, yet I am there. I do not require you to be strong in order to be worthy of my support. I do not stand at a distance waiting for you to recover before drawing near. When you are weak, I come even closer. When you no longer know how to pray, my Spirit intercedes for you with groanings too deep for words. Just as revealed in Romans 8:26, you have never truly been empty as long as I am still breathing life into you. There may have been times when you wanted to give up because you felt you had wandered too far from what is good, or failed too greatly to ever be fully restored. But beloved, do not let shame masquerade as my voice. Shame always urges you to believe that you must hide from the Father, punish yourself, and stand outside the door for a long time before being allowed to return. Yet my love does not operate like the condemnation of this world. I do not see you first through the record of your failures. I see you through the covenant of everlasting love. When you turn your heart toward me, even with trembling steps, even with broken words, even with tears mingled with regret, I still recognize you. I do not confuse you with your past. I do not call you by the name of your wandering years. I call you, my child. Remember the son who left his father's house, taking his inheritance into a distant land, wasting what was precious, and eventually falling into the depths of shame and lack. When he sat in his misery, hungry enough to long for the food of pigs, he no longer resembled the one who had once departed with illusions of freedom. Yet it was in that very depth that his heart began to awaken. He did not return in pride, nor with excuses, nor with any sense of entitlement. He returned with a broken heart, confessing that he was no longer worthy to be called a son. But while he was still far off, his father saw him, ran to him, embraced him, kissed him, clothed him with the best robe, placed a ring on his hand, and sandals on his feet. Luke 15:20-22. Do you see? My child, the Father did not define his son's return by the dirt on his garments, but by the love within his own heart. That story is not merely about someone who lost his way. It reveals my heart toward all who return. I do not stand at the threshold with cold eyes, examining every failure before allowing you to come in. I do not require you to recount every distant step just to deepen your shame. I run to you in compassion. I cover you with the robe of dignity. I place once more upon your hand the ring of sonship. I put sandals on your feet so you will no longer walk as a hired servant in the fields, but as one who belongs in the Father's house. My beloved, your return is not measured by how far you have gone, but by whether you turn your face back toward me. One sincere step in my direction can break through years of distance within your soul. Therefore, do not allow the enemy to use your past as a wall between you and me. Do not say that you must perfect yourself before you can come back. The prodigal son did not return because he was clean. He returned to be embraced and restored. So it is with you. Do not wait until your heart is no longer troubled before you come to me. Do not wait until your tears are gone before you pray. Do not wait until you feel worthy before you open your heart. Come as you are, in your weakness, in your weariness, when all you have to offer is a sincere heart, a broken and contrite heart. O God, you will not despise, Psalm 51:17. I do not reject your brokenness. I transform it into the very place where grace begins again. I know how hard you have tried to keep yourself from falling apart. I see the efforts no one else notices, the silent battles behind your smile, the moments when you urged yourself to be just a little stronger while your heart was already exhausted. But you were not created to save yourself by your own strength. You were created to live in the life that I give. As long as you are breathing, there is still hope. As long as you can call my name, there is still a way back. As long as you feel pain over the distance, it means your heart is not dead. A soul that has become completely hardened no longer longs for the Father's house, but you still long. You still remember. You still ache. You still desire to be held by a love that does not give up. That very longing is the sign that I am still drawing you with cords of kindness. Let me remove from you the thought that silence means absence. There are seasons when I am quiet, not because I have turned away, but because I am holding you in a way deeper than words. The father in the story did not need to deliver a long speech before embracing his son. His arms spoke what words could never fully contain. I, too, embrace you in silence, through the breath still in your lungs, through another day granted to you, through an unexpected word of encouragement, through a small light that touches your mind, through the softening of your heart after months of dryness. Do not overlook these small signs of my love simply because you are waiting for a great miracle. Often, the miracle begins with the fact that you are still being held, so you do not give up. My beloved, I do not want you to remain in the foreign land of shame, nor to build your dwelling in despair simply because you once lost your way. Rise and return not in fear, but in the assurance that your Father is still waiting. I do not ask why your garments are stained with dust before I embrace you. I do not demand that you prove you will never be weak again before I restore you. I only ask that you turn your heart toward me. From that very moment, grace begins to do what your own strength never could, to cleanse, to heal, to restore, to clothe you again with dignity, and to teach you to walk as one who truly belongs at home. Therefore, when you feel like giving up, remember that the breath within you is still my invitation. When you feel your prayers are dissolving into silence, remember that before you speak, I already know your heart. When you feel too far away, remember that the Father ran out while the Son was still at a distance. When you think you have nothing of value left, remember that your worth is not found in what you have managed to hold on to, but in the love I have placed upon you. Return to me in truth without hiding, without pretending to be strong, without carrying a list of achievements to earn acceptance. You were loved before you knew how to respond. You are still loved in your weariness, and you will continue to be loved as I lift you up, step by step, until you no longer live as one wandering, but as a child who has been embraced, restored, and brought home into the everlasting arms of the Father. My beloved, pause in this moment not to be afraid, nor to condemn yourself any further. but so that your soul may hear again the voice of the Father amid the noise that has drawn you too far away. There have been thoughts rushing through your mind like strong winds, making you feel as though you must hurry, must protect yourself, must find answers immediately, must prove that you are still holding together. But I do not call you through that restless urgency. I call you with a gentle voice deeper than your anxieties, closer than your painful memories, more real than every word of condemnation you have ever heard. Listen not only with your ears, but with the deepest place within your heart. For my word to you is not a fleeting comfort that fades away, nor a fragile emotion meant to soothe you for a moment. My word is a promise, and that promise does not change. I love you. I have chosen you, and no mistake from your past holds the power to separate you from my love. Perhaps you have passed through days when you could no longer recognize yourself. Perhaps you allowed weariness to pull your soul away from rest, disappointment to make your prayers grow faint, and shame to whisper that you are no longer worthy to return. But, child, remember what is written, "Who shall separate us from the love of Christ?" Romans 8:35. Not your weakness, not your seasons of wandering, not the times you fell in silence, not even the paths you chose and later realized led you astray. I do not love you with a love that withdraws when you fail to meet an image of perfection. I love you with a love that comes from my very being, a love that knew you fully before you knew yourself. A love not surprised by your fractures, nor powerless before your brokenness. If today you return, you will not encounter a cold gaze waiting to judge you. You will meet arms that have long been open, more patient than your delay, more gentle than your self-accusation, and more hopeful than what you still dare to hope for yourself. You have never been left behind in the way you imagine. You may have slowed down. You may have stopped along the way. You may have turned away out of fear that I would see what you were hiding. Yet I have remained there, never leaving my place as Father, never closing the door of the house, never extinguishing the lamp of waiting. While the prodigal son was still far off, the Father saw him and ran to embrace him. Luke 15:20. My beloved, I also see you from afar. I do not wait for you to cleanse the dust of the road before allowing you to enter. My embrace is the place where your restoration begins. And now, there is something drawing near to you, a movement in the deep that you have not yet been able to fully name. You sense as though something is touching the threshold of your soul, as though your life stands at a turning point where old decisions are no longer enough to carry you forward. I know this, for nothing in your journey lies outside my sight. This is not a random moment within the chaos of life, nor a fleeting feeling that comes and goes like the wind. This is a moment of spiritual weight, where I invite you to look honestly at the direction of your heart and choose again the path of life. As it is written, I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse, therefore choose life. Deuteronomy 30:19. I do not force you through fear, for true love does not compel, but I place before you a sacred invitation. Choose what leads you back to me. Choose what brings your soul to life again. Choose what no longer feeds the darkness within you. Remember Joshua when he stood before the people and declared, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Joshua 24:15. This was not merely a public statement. It was a boundary drawn within the soul. There are moments when you can no longer live in compromise, when you cannot desire healing while still clinging to what wounds you, cannot long for the light while allowing darkness to retain authority in your mind. I do not say this to frighten you, but to awaken you through love. A small choice today can become the doorway to a new season. A sincere word spoken today can break through years of distance. A decision to return today can begin the restoration you once believed was lost forever. Perhaps you have thought yourself unworthy to hear such a calling. You look at your failures, your weaknesses, the decisions that bring you shame, and you place yourself outside the boundary of my love. But child, that boundary is built by shame, not by me. I do not measure you by success or failure. I do not weigh my love for you based on whether today you are strong or weak, bright or dim, steady or trembling. I have declared, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness I have drawn you. Jeremiah 31:3. It is this loving kindness that is drawing you even now, not to humiliate you, but to bring you out from the place where you have remained too long in isolation. I am not grieved by your fall in the way one who seeks to punish. I am grieved when you believe that your fall has caused me to turn away. While I have remained near, still calling, still waiting, still loving, do not mistake my patience for indifferent silence. Do not assume that, because I have not finished your story, I am no longer writing it. Do not confuse the days when you do not feel me with the truth of my presence. I have been with you in moments when you could not even name your sorrow. I have sustained you through nights you thought you would not survive. I have placed new breath within you each morning. Even when you awoke with a heavy heart, the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Lamentations 3:22-23. If you are still hearing these words, if your heart is still stirred, if there remains within you even a small desire to return, that is evidence that my grace is still at work. So let this moment become the place where you stop running from my love. Lay down the words of self-condemnation you have carried for too long. Stop believing that you must become perfect before you can be embraced. Do not let your past failures stand as gatekeepers, preventing you from entering the Father's presence. I do not call you back to live in shame, but to be rebuilt in dignity. I do not call you to choose life so that you will fear death, but so that you may discover that life in me is more beautiful than anything that once bound you. Open your heart, even if only a little, and you will see light entering the places you thought were closed forever. Speak to me with the most honest words you can offer, even if they are brief, broken, and filled with tears. I understand the language of a heart that is returning. My beloved, I am still here, not at the end of some distant road you must crawl toward in exhaustion, but near, right where you pause and turn your heart toward me. I call you not with threat, but with love, not with accusation, but with invitation, not with a condemning gaze, but with the embrace of a father. What you choose today is not merely an emotional decision, but a step toward life itself. Choose me among the voices that pull at you. Choose the light among the familiar shadows. Choose to return rather than to keep running. And as you take that step, even slowly, even trembling, even uncertain of tomorrow, you will come to realize that I have never left you. I have waited for you with patience, preserved you in quietness, and now I am leading you home to the place where you are loved, restored, called by name, and brought to life again in my everlasting love. My beloved child, even in this very moment, when many voices are competing for space within your heart, let my voice be the one you choose to hear. Not because I wish to place another burden upon you, nor because I seek to frighten you into returning, but because I know which voice leads you to life and which draws you back into the darkness that has become too familiar. There are words that have lingered in your mind for a long time: the voice of shame, the voice of failure, the voice of old memories, the voice of those who never recognized your true worth. They tell you that you cannot rise again, that you have gone too far, that where you are stuck is your destiny. But today, I set before you another word, a word that does not break you further, but lifts you, a word that does not imprison you in the past, but opens the way for your future. a word not only to be understood by your mind, but to be lived out through your soul. When you take hold of my word, the ground beneath you will begin to change. You will no longer stand upon the sinking soil of confusion, where every negative thought pulls you deeper, where every fear disorients you, where every past disappointment causes you to doubt what is good ahead. I am the one who draws you out from that place. As it is written in the Psalms, He also brought me up out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my steps. Psalm 42. Do you see? My child, I do not merely call to you from afar and ask you to climb on your own. I bend down to where you believe you have no strength left. Place my hand beneath your life, lift you out of the mire, and set your feet upon a foundation you could never create for yourself. That foundation is my truth, my love, my promise, and your identity in me. Do not believe that you are destined to sink. That is not the word I have written over your life. You may have grown accustomed to the feeling of being pulled downward by what stirs within you, accustomed to hoping and then fearing disappointment, accustomed to stepping forward only to retreat because of memories that once wounded you. But familiarity is not always safety. There are places you call safe only because there you are not required to change, not required to confront, not required to believe again. Yet, my child, a cage is still a cage, even when it no longer frightens you as it once did. Darkness remains darkness, even when your eyes have adjusted to its dimness. I am calling you out of that false safety not to expose you to the cold, but to teach you what it means to be led by the hand of your Father. Let me take your hand. Do not refuse me any longer through the defenses that have already wearied you. I know why you have built walls around your heart. I know there were times you opened yourself and were hurt, times you trusted and were disappointed, times you stepped forward and were misunderstood. And so you learned to withdraw so that no one could touch the place of your pain. But the walls you built to protect yourself from harm can also prevent you from receiving healing. I do not come as one who invades. I come as a father standing at the door of your heart, patiently knocking, waiting for you to allow love to enter. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come into him. Revelation 3:20. You do not need to open every room at once. Begin with a single sincere yes, and I will enter with gentleness. I know you have felt abandoned, especially in seasons when no one could understand what you were carrying, yet you have never been outside my sight. I know your name not merely as a sound, but as a covenant. I know your journey, not only the parts you can tell, but also the passages you cannot find words to describe. I know the wounds you have hidden, the questions you have buried, the times you kept going, even when your heart was nearly breaking. And I call you not by your past, not by your weak days, not by your regrets, but by the future I have prepared for you in love. As I have spoken, fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. When I call your name, shame no longer has the right to answer in your place. Remember the man who lay by the pool of Bethesda for 38 years. He remained for so long in a place that seemed near to a miracle, yet he had not been touched by it. Each time the waters were stirred, he had no one to help him into the pool, and the passing years may have turned hope into a painful routine. But Christ came near and asked him, "Do you want to be made well?" John 5:6. That question was not because the Lord did not know his suffering, but because true healing calls forth a response from within. Then he said, "Rise, take up your bed and walk." John 5:8. My beloved, There are places in your mind where you have lain for too long, areas you have come to call helpless. Yet my voice today speaks into those very places. You were not created to remain lying beside the possibility of healing. You are called to rise in my power. Perhaps your bed is not a mat by a pool, but the old narratives upon which you have lain for far too long. I am not enough. I always fail. No one truly stays. Good things are for others. Yet I do not call you merely to leave that bed behind. I call you to carry it as a testimony that what once held you down no longer has authority over you. When I lift you, your past is no longer your dwelling place, but becomes the evidence of where I have brought you out from. When I set your feet upon the rock, you no longer need to live as one on the verge of collapse. You may tremble, yet still stand. You may not understand everything, yet still walk. You may carry scars, yet you are no longer bound by your wounds. Therefore, choose my voice over the voice of the pit. Choose the promise over condemnation. Choose to step out rather than remain hidden where life no longer dwells. Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. Yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah 41:10. This word is not reserved for those who are never weak. It is given to those who know they need to be upheld. I do not tell you not to fear and then leave you to wrestle with fear alone. I say do not fear because I am with you. My presence is the reason for your courage, not your perfection. My beloved, let your heart cease resisting the hand that longs to heal you. I do not draw you out of darkness to leave you lost in the light, but to teach your eyes to grow accustomed to true life. I do not call you out of false safety to cast you into isolation, but so you may discover that beyond the old walls, I am still your refuge. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. Your refuge is not avoidance, it is me. Your strength is not self-protection, it is my presence within you. Your peace is not the absence of trials, it is the assurance that no trial can separate you from my hand. Now, take your steps, little by little, but take them truly. Allow my light to touch the places of your heart that have long been closed. Let my word replace the words that have diminished you. Let my hand hold yours in those first trembling steps. You do not need to run at once. You do not need to prove anything immediately. You do not need to understand everything right now. Simply do not refuse the life that is calling you out of where you have been. I am setting your feet again upon the rock, establishing your steps, and teaching you to stand as one who no longer belongs to the pit. You belong to me. You belong to life. You belong to the future I have seen even while you are still struggling with today. Therefore, my child, listen to the voice of your Father. It does not crush you, it raises you up. It does not drive you into fear, it leads you into freedom. It does not call you by your failures, it calls you by love. I am near, reaching out my hand, leading you from the familiar darkness into the wide space of grace. And when you allow me to hold your hand, you will realize that you were never meant to rescue yourself from the pit. I have come to lift you out, to set you upon the rock, and to teach you to walk in the steadiness of a soul that is loved, known by name, preserved, and prepared for a tomorrow brighter than you have ever dared to believe. My beloved, you do not need to hold the entire map in your hands in order to take the next step. I do not place upon your shoulders the burden of explaining everything that has happened, nor do I require you to understand every turn, every closed door, every season of waiting, every pain that has silenced you in the dark. There are things that, if you try to grasp them with a weary mind, will only leave you more confused. There are fragments that, if you examine them in isolation, may cause you to believe your life is nothing more than a collection of unfinished pieces. But I see what you cannot yet see. I do not see only the fragments. I see the whole tapestry being woven by my hand. What you call broken pieces, I can gather into a testimony of grace. What you call loss, I can transform into fertile ground for a new harvest. What you think is an ending, I can use as a boundary that opens into a deeper, truer, brighter chapter in me. Remember what I have spoken. All things work together for good to those who love God. Romans 8:28. This does not mean that everything you have endured is easy, nor does it ask you to call your pain pleasant. I do not deny your tears. I do not minimize the years you have struggled to stand while your heart was breaking. But I am the one who has the power to redeem even what should never have wounded you. In my hands, no detail is wasted. No night is without meaning. No prayer disappears into emptiness. I can take even the things you wish to hide, the chapters you never wanted to revisit, and build within you wisdom, compassion, discernment, and a quiet strength that an easy life could never produce. Perhaps you have thought that this journey is too long, that if I were truly with you, everything would have been simpler, quicker, less painful. But child, I never promised that you would always understand my ways while you are walking through them. I promised that I would be with you, and my presence is more valuable than the explanations you seek. When you are in the valley, it is difficult to see the shape of the path, but from my height, I see where every step will lead. You see only a portion of the road before you, but I see the destination. I see who you are becoming. I see the lives you will touch. I see the harvest that will grow from the seeds of tears you do not yet understand. Therefore, do not let what you cannot see cause you to doubt the one who sees all. I have never led you this far, only to release you in the middle of the journey. If I have sustained you through the days you thought you could not endure, if I have upheld you through the nights when you barely had the strength to breathe, if I have preserved you through seasons no one knew how deeply you were hurting, then you must trust that I will not leave you now. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. This word does not change with your emotions, does not weaken when you grow weary, does not lose its power when you doubt. It is a covenant of presence. I am with you when you are strong and when you are weak, when you walk swiftly and when you can only move step by step, when you are clear and when you are confused, when you can sing praises and when you can only remain silent before me. Remember the two disciples on the road to Emmaus after the crucifixion. They walked with heavy hearts, believing that all hope had ended, that what they once trusted had been shattered under the weight of the cross. They spoke of their disappointment, yet did not recognize that the risen Lord was walking beside them. He did not leave them in their confusion. He opened the scriptures to them, explained what they did not understand. And when he broke the bread, their eyes were opened. Luke 24:13-35. My beloved, there are times when you are like them, walking in sorrow, thinking I am absent, while I am drawing very near. Often you will only realize later that in the very path where you felt most alone, I was beside you, speaking to your heart, steadying your steps, and preparing for your eyes to be opened at the appointed time. Because I love you, I will not allow you to live a shallow life, centered only on avoiding pain and seeking comfort. I did not create you merely to exist from day to day, to breathe without truly living, to repeat old patterns within a soul that has grown too confined. I desire for you to grow. I desire for you to be transformed. I desire for you to live with the depth of one who has encountered me in both light and darkness, who has learned to trust me without seeing, who has learned to love even after being wounded, who has learned to stand not because they have never fallen, but because they know the hand that lifts them up. The life I have for you is not shallow. It has roots. It has fire. It has purpose. It carries a peace that no storm can take away. Yet to enter into that depth, there are things within you that must be reborn from within. I do not merely seek to change your schedule. I seek to renew your mind. I do not only wish to open new circumstances, I want to open your spiritual eyes so that you may see yourself and your life through truth. I do not only want to remove outward burdens, I want to break the inner chains that once made you believe you were not enough, not worthy, unable to go further. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. When your mind is renewed, you will no longer interpret everything through the lens of fear. You will begin to see difficult seasons not only as places of wounding, but as places where I refine you, not only as times of loss, but as moments where I deepen your roots, not only as waiting, but as preparation for a greater capacity to receive what I will give. My beloved, you do not need to return and untangle every knot of your past by your own strength before you can move forward. There are things I will explain to you in their proper time. There are things I will heal before you fully understand them. There are pieces you will only recognize when you look back after many seasons. What I invite you to do today is to trust me in your next step. Entrust to me what you do not understand. Place into my hands the questions that have no answers yet. Allow me to hold the parts of your memory that still ache. And let me teach you that peace does not always come from having every explanation, but from knowing that you are held by the one who has both the power and the love to sustain you. Do not despise the process quietly unfolding within you. A seed buried in the soil is not useless simply because it has not yet broken through the surface. A child in the womb is not forgotten just because the world has not yet seen it. A foundation beneath the ground is not meaningless simply because no walls have yet risen. So it is with you. There are works I am doing in hidden places. Long before anyone can see the results, I am teaching you patience, not the patience of helpless endurance, but the patience of one who knows that their Father is at work. I am teaching you trust, not a vague trust, but one anchored in my nature, faithful, merciful, wise, and never giving up on you. So, continue to walk forward, but do not walk as one who must prove they will never fall. Walk as one whose hand is being held. Live today, not under the pressure of needing to understand the entire journey, but in the peace of knowing that the journey rests in the hands of your Father. When you are weak, lean on me. When you do not understand, speak honestly to me. When you are afraid, let my promise become greater than the voice of fear within you. When you see broken pieces, remember that I am the one who knows how to weave them into a picture you cannot yet imagine. And when you feel as though you are merely existing, return to me, for I have not called you to live a shallow life. I have called you into abundant life where you are not only carried through trials, but transformed within them, matured through the process, and led into a life of depth, meaning, and true light. My child, keep your heart soft and continue forward. You do not need to see the whole picture. I do. You do not need to explain everything. I am redeeming. You do not need to see all the results. I am working. I do not release my hold midway. I do not abandon what I have begun. And I do not leave the fragments of your life in meaninglessness. I am gathering them with love, weaving them with grace, and turning them into a testimony. One day, when you look back, you will not only see long roads and silent nights of tears, you will see that I was there patient, quiet, faithful, leading you step by step from mere survival into truly living in me. My beloved, even as your heart stands between understanding and not understanding, between what you can see and what you can only believe. I am gently calling you to take one more step into the depth of surrender, not the step of a mind that has all the answers, nor of one who has control over every outcome, but the step of a soul that knows its Father's hand is more trustworthy than anything its eyes can see. There are things you go through that cannot be explained in the moment of pain, for a wounded heart often sees only the cut and not yet the healing hand. But child, in my kingdom, not a single tear falls unnoticed. Not a single wound remains unseen. Not a single dark season lies beyond my redeeming power. My promise that He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, Revelation 21:4, is not only a distant comfort for the last day, it is a light quietly at work even now within your present. Little by little, until what you once wept over is placed into my hands and becomes a place where grace is revealed. I did not bring you to this moment by accident. You may think this is just another ordinary moment in the noise of life, but in my sight, it is a meeting point of the soul, a place where you are invited to choose again, to breathe again, to trust again, and to begin again in a way that no longer depends on your own strength. You have often tried to rebuild yourself by sheer will, tried to convince yourself to be strong, to understand, to move on quickly. But I do not ask you to enter this new chapter through such perfection. What I seek in you is a sincere heart, an open door, a yes that may be small, trembling, and uncertain of all that will follow. Do not despise quiet surrender. Great rivers often begin from a small spring. Eternal miracles often begin with a humble response in the hidden place. When Mary received the message, she did not hold every explanation in her hands, nor did she see the full path ahead with all its misunderstanding, pain, and glory. Yet she said, "Behold, the servant of the Lord, let it be to me according to your word." Luke 1:38. It was that willingness that opened the way for the miraculous to take form. So it is with you. The great work I desire to do within you does not begin with a display of strength before others, but with a softness before me. I do not require a faith that never trembles. I invite you to place that trembling into my hands. I do not need you to possess every ability. I ask you to trust that the one who calls you is also the one who equips you. I do not ask you to prove your worth. I ask you to remain in the love that chose you before you understood yourself. One sincere yes can open what years of striving could never unlock. A surrender in love can melt the walls fear has built around your soul. A decision to return to me can redirect the course of your entire life, not because you suddenly become perfect, but because you allow grace to begin its work in the places you once kept closed. Yet, my beloved, I do not conceal from you that the path of true life is not without resistance. When you begin to rise, there will be voices that try to pull you back down. When you begin to believe, arrows of doubt will aim for the tender places in your heart. When you step toward the light, the familiar darkness may call your name with old words, reminding you of your failures and suggesting that hope is too far away. You must understand this, so that you do not mistake every heavy thought for truth. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. Ephesians 6:12. There is a battle within the depths of your mind and soul, where the enemy seeks to make you forget who you belong to. Forget the light that has been placed within you. Forget that I have never withdrawn my calling. Therefore, when doubt comes, do not rush to conclude that you have lost your faith. When fear rises, do not assume that you have failed. When hopelessness whispers that nothing will ever change, recognize that this is not the voice of your Father. My voice may correct you, but it does not crush you. My voice may awaken you, but it does not steal your hope. My voice may lead you through truths that are difficult to face, yet it always carries you toward life. The enemy, however, uses condemnation to make you withdraw, shame to silence you, and fear to cause you to question my love. But I have given you the armor of light, truth as your belt, righteousness as your breastplate, faith to extinguish the fiery darts of the evil one, salvation to guard your mind, and my word as the sword of the Spirit, Ephesians 6:14-17. You do not stand empty-handed in this battle. You are covered by me. Remember Nehemiah when he returned to rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. The work was not merely about placing stones upon one another. It was the restoration of dignity, identity, and protection for a people who had lived among ruins. Yet as soon as the work began, Sanballat and Tobiah arose to mock, threaten, sow fear, and discourage the builders. Nehemiah did not abandon the work because of opposing voices. He prayed, set guards, and the people labored while holding their weapons. Nehemiah 4. Shurtzi, do you see? There are seasons when you are also rebuilding the walls within your soul, the walls of faith, identity, peace, and discernment. Do not be surprised when voices of mockery arise in your mind. Pray, stay watchful, and keep building. What I am restoring in you is worth your steadfastness. You do not need to fight in panic, nor must you defeat every shadow by your own strength. Fight by remaining near me. Fight through sincere prayer. Fight by holding on to my word when your emotions shift. Fight by refusing to believe the lies that have become familiar. When a thought tells you there is no hope, answer it with the truth that I am the God of resurrection. When a thought tells you that you are not loved, remember that I have loved you with an everlasting love. When a thought tells you that you are not strong enough, remember that my grace is sufficient for you. For my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Faith is not always a strong feeling. Often, it is a quiet whisper in the night, Father, I still choose to trust you. My beloved, do not fear this crossroads. I have not brought you here to collapse under the weight of choice, but to realize that the door back to life remains open. You are not required to be perfect before entering. You do not have to win every battle in a single day before I embrace you. You need only open your heart to me. Allow my word to become the voice above all others. Allow my light to touch the places you have long hidden. Allow my spirit to rekindle the faith that once lay covered in ashes. Say yes to me in the nearest step. Choose life in the smallest decision. Turn your face toward the light, even if part of you still feels afraid. I am with you in this very moment. I see what you cannot yet name. I understand the battles you do not have words to explain. I know what is drawing near and what is trying to pull you back. But I also know the power I have placed within you, the love that surrounds you, and the future I have prepared for you. Therefore, step deeper into trust, not because everything is clear, but because I am the one who sees all things clearly. Hold fast to my word, for it will lift you from darkness and set you into life. Let your tears be placed in my hands. Let your wounds be touched by my grace. Let your yes become the beginning of a new flow. And as you continue to walk, you will discover that the battle cannot consume you. Darkness cannot define you. And everything I have begun in you will be preserved, nurtured, and brought to completion in my unfailing love. My beloved child, engrave this truth upon your heart as a seal that no darkness can erase. The enemy may make noise, may roar, may plant fearful images within your mind, but it does not hold the final authority over your life. It may unsettle you if you listen too long, It may cause you to forget who you belong to. It may build walls that seem impossible to overcome. But it cannot replace my throne. I am the one who has overcome. I am the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the one who is worthy to open the scroll and break its seals. Revelation 5:5. I do not enter the battle with uncertainty about the outcome. I speak from the position of victory, and my word not only makes darkness tremble, but dispels its false authority before the light of eternity. Therefore, my child, do not see yourself as one abandoned on the battlefield without weapons. I have never called you into these days empty-handed. Even before you recognize the battle within your mind, I had already prepared what you need to stand firm. The armor I give is not of the flesh, does not depend on human strength, is not limited by circumstances, but is born from the power of the Spirit. Your faith is not a fleeting emotion that exists only when everything is favorable. When it is placed in me, it becomes a shield capable of extinguishing the fiery arrows of doubt, fear, and despair. My word is not merely text resting on a page. It is the sword of the Spirit, the light that guides, the rock on which you stand when every other foundation trembles. As it is written, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. Ephesians 6:11. You are not called to flee in panic, but to stand in me. But child, standing firm does not mean you have never felt weak. It does not mean your heart never trembles, your eyes never burn with tears, or your mind is never flooded with questions. To stand firm means that even when these come, you still return to my word. It means that when lies say you have no hope, you place my truth upon your lips and declare that I am the God of resurrection. It means that when fear says you will fall, you remember that the Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusted in him, and I am helped. Psalm 28:7. It means that when you cannot see the way, you do not conclude that I am not at work, but you choose to walk by faith. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. You do not need to see the full victory in order to believe that I am leading you. You need only know that the one who leads you is faithful. Guard your heart, my beloved, for it is the wellspring of life within you. Do not allow every thought that passes through your mind to settle as truth. Some thoughts arise from weariness, some from old memories, and some are used by the enemy to make you forget the light I have placed within you. Therefore, remain watchful, but not with fear. I do not desire you to live in tension, as though darkness could consume you at any moment. I desire you to be watchful through understanding, through discernment, through abiding in me. Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life. Proverbs 4:23. When a thought pulls you away from me, causes you to shrink in shame, or steals your deep peace, bring it into the light of my word. Whatever does not carry the fragrance of truth is not worthy to dwell within you. I know there have been times when you allowed my word to remain in memory instead of using it as life upon your lips. You remember that I love you, yet when shame comes, you fall silent. You know that I am with you, yet when fear rises, you listen more to fear than to me. You have read that I give strength to the weary, yet when exhaustion comes, you try to endure alone instead of running into my presence. Today, I remind you gently, use what I have given you. When darkness speaks, you must also speak. When lies surround you, answer them with truth. When your heart is weak, pray, not because you are strong, but because you know I am the source of strength without limit. When your mind is pulled downward, lift your eyes and let my word become your breath. Remember Joshua before the walls of Jericho. Before him stood a fortified city, a stronghold that seemed impossible to overcome by human means. If he had looked only with natural eyes, he might have thought he needed greater weapons, stronger strategies, or more people. But I did not give him a plan according to the ways of the world. I told the people to walk around the city, to blow the trumpets, to remain silent, to wait for the appointed moment, and then to shout according to my command. It may have seemed unreasonable in human understanding, yet obedience in what appeared small opened the way for my power to be revealed. When the trumpet sounded and the people shouted, the walls of Jericho fell. Joshua 6. Do you see? Victory does not come from fully understanding the method, but from trusting the one who has spoken. There are walls in your life that resemble Jericho. The wall of fear has stood there for far too long. The wall of doubt has convinced you that you cannot go any further. The wall of old habits, old wounds, old accusation, and old weariness seems too solid to fall. But my beloved, do not measure my power by the thickness of the wall. Do not measure your future by what has stood in your way for years. When I speak, even the impossible must give way. When I lead you in obedience step by step, even when those steps feel quiet, repetitive, unimpressive deep beneath the surface, the foundations of that wall are already trembling. Some collapses do not begin with a loud crash, but with a heart that chooses to follow my voice one more day. Therefore, do not despise small acts of obedience. Do not underestimate the short prayer you whisper in your exhaustion. Do not dismiss a single verse you repeat in the midst of anxiety. Do not overlook the moment you reject a lie and choose to believe the truth. These are your weapons. These are your steps around the wall. These are signs that darkness no longer dictates the rhythm of your heart. I am training you not merely to survive a trial, but to enter into the abundant life I have prepared for you. For it is written, I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. John 10:10. This life is not mere survival. It is a life of deeper faith, a more guarded mind, a freer heart, and steps more clearly directed in me. You are carrying something precious, so guard it with awareness. I have placed within you light, testimony, faith, discernment, compassion, and a purpose that no one else can fulfill in the way I have entrusted to you. The enemy seeks to make you forget this by keeping you occupied with fear, entangled in doubt, or so exhausted that you no longer recognize my voice. But I am with you not only to carry you through a difficult season, but to lead you into maturity. I desire that you learn to stand, to discern, to pray, to declare truth, to wield faith as a shield, to use my word as a sword, and to rest in the victory already accomplished through me. My beloved, stand in me. Do not stand upon your emotions, for they change. Do not stand upon the words of others, for they shift. Do not stand upon circumstances, for they can be shaken. Stand upon the one who has overcome, upon the word that never fades, upon the love that is never withdrawn, upon the power that does not diminish. When the roar of darkness rises, remember that my voice is greater. When a wall stands before you, remember that Jericho fell not by human strength, but by obedience aligned with my power. When you are weak, put on the armor I have given. When you are afraid, hold tightly to my word. When you cannot see, choose to believe. And as you continue to walk, you will come to understand that you are not fighting to be loved. You are fighting from the position of one who is already loved, already held, already equipped, and already being led into victory by the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the one whose word causes darkness to retreat. My beloved child, Let this truth sink deep into the place within you that still trembles. You belong to me. You do not belong to the seasons that wounded you, nor to the words others have spoken over you, nor to the mistakes you quietly revisit in the night, nor to the fear that seeks to make you shrink back. You belong to me, and that identity does not change with circumstance. When you are strong, you belong to me. When you are weak, you still belong to me. When you walk steadily, you are mine. When you stumble and need to be lifted again, you remain my child. My love is not a reward for your best days. It is the foundation that existed before you ever learned to name grace. As it is written, nothing shall be able to separate us from the love of God. Romans 8:39. Therefore, understand this. No darkness is deep enough. No past heavy enough. No failure great enough to remove you from the palm of my hand. Perhaps there have been moments when you thought my choosing of you was as fragile as human acceptance, that if you were not good enough, strong enough, or bright enough, I would turn away. But my child, I did not choose you impulsively, and I do not withdraw based on passing emotion. I saw your entire journey before you stepped into your very first day. I knew the turns, the nights you wept, the times you fell, the questions you have not dared to speak, the wounds you tried to hide beneath what seemed normal. And knowing all of this, I still called you in love. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. When I call your name, I am not calling an imagined version of you that has never been weak. I am calling you as you are, your whole journey in need of redemption, healing, and renewal through my grace. It is often in the moments when you feel weakest that I desire you to recognize how near I truly am. When outward supports remain intact, you may think you are being held by achievements, by people, by plans, by control. But when those things begin to shake, your soul starts to see a foundation that has never moved. I do not delight in your pain, yet I use even seasons where false supports collapse to reveal to you that I am your true refuge. As the Psalms declare, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. You do not need to search far for me in times of distress. I am the help that is already near, the refuge that is open, the rock beneath your feet when the ground around you cannot be trusted. Do not despise the seasons when you have nothing left to cling to but me. This is not abandonment. It may be liberation from the things that quietly took my place within your heart. There are supports that appear strong but bind your soul to what cannot save. There are securities you once held tightly that only increased your fear of losing them. When I allow those things to reveal their fragility, it is not to leave you empty, but to lead you back to the source that never runs dry. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. Psalm 82. When you know me as your rock, you will no longer build your identity upon the shifting sands of approval, achievement, emotion, or the acceptance of others. Remember Elijah when he sat beneath the broom tree in the wilderness. Exhausted to the point of not wanting to continue, he had witnessed great power, stood amid mighty signs, yet still faced moments of fatigue, fear, and deep loneliness. I did not come to him with condemnation. I did not say he had failed because of his weakness. I sent an angel to touch him, to give him bread and water, to let him rest. And then I led him step by step to a place where he could hear my voice again in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19. Do you see, my beloved, when you are weak, I do not rush to remove you from your calling. I care for you. I restore you. I teach you to discern my voice from the voice of exhaustion, fear, isolation, and from the enemy that seeks to distort truth within you. For the adversary does not always appear in obvious forms that are easy to recognize. It often comes as a thought that feels familiar, as a heavy emotion, as a repeated reminder of the past until you begin to accept it as truth. It tells you that you are not enough, that you have missed your moment, that you cannot change, that I have grown weary of you, that my love for you is only a memory. But my beloved, learn to discern. My voice may correct you, but it does not push you into despair. My voice may expose error, but it does not bury you in shame. My voice may call you to repentance, but it always opens the way back to life. There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. Romans 8:1. If a voice only condemns you without leading you toward life, you must know it is not the voice of your Father. I do not revisit your past to crush you. When I touch your memories, I do so as a healer, not as an accuser. I bring hidden things into the light not to shame you before me, but so they no longer quietly rule you in the dark. There are wounds that must be named in order to be healed. There are lies that must be recognized in order to be broken. There are chapters you wish to forget, yet when placed into my hands, they can become the place where you understand more deeply my mercy, forgiveness, and the strength of a soul set free. I do not use your past as chains. I use grace to turn it into testimony. The voices that say you are not good enough, cannot change, have gone too far. They are no longer worthy of love. These are lies, repeated so often that they begin to feel true. But repetition does not make something truth if it stands against my word. My truth does not shift with your feelings. When you feel strong, the truth remains that you still need me. When you feel weak, the truth remains that you are loved. When you see yourself as a failure, the truth remains that my grace still has the power to lift you up. For it is written, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." John 8:32. Truth does not only free you from outward sin, it also frees you from the false judgments you have carried within your heart for far too long. So allow me to transform what you believe about yourself. You are not one cast outside the reach of love. You are not one who arrived too late for grace. You are not a soul defined by your worst day. You were loved before you ever did anything worthy of pride, chosen before you understood the calling, held even when you thought you were falling. Remember the woman caught in sin and brought before Jesus. Others held stones, but Christ did not use truth to destroy her. He used truth to open a new way. He said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more." John 8:11. This is my heart. I do not deny sin, but neither do I allow it to have the final voice over a soul called into life. My beloved, guard your mind as one who stands watch at the gates of a city. Do not allow every thought that passes through to become a resident within you. When a thought brings despair, bring it before my word. When a feeling tells you that you have been abandoned, place it under the truth that I will never leave you nor forsake you. When the past knocks with its familiar voice, answer with your new identity. You belong to me. This is not empty self-persuasion. This is learning to stand on the rock of my word rather than the shifting sand of emotion. Casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5. You are not powerless before what passes through your mind. In me, you are equipped to choose truth. My child, when you feel weak, do not run from me, run to me. When you hear condemnation, do not sit and entertain it, bring your heart into the light. When you feel unworthy, remember that my love is not purchased by your worthiness, but given through my mercy. You have never been beyond my reach. There is no distance my grace cannot cross. No darkness my light cannot touch. No path stronger than my power to restore. Remain in this truth. You belong to me. You are loved. You are chosen. You are kept. And the lies that once clung to you no longer have authority to define your life. Therefore, rise in the gentleness of grace, not as one who has never fallen, but as one whom the Father has lifted up. Let me be your refuge in trouble, your rock when every other support shakes, the voice that rises above every accusation, the truth that breaks every chain within your mind. Do not fear that I will leave you when you are weak. It is in that very place that you will discover that I am near, that I am real, that I am faithful. And as you continue to walk in truth, you will see the lies that once bound you begin to lose their power, while my voice within you grows clearer, warmer, stronger. You are mine, and nothing can take you from the everlasting love of your Father.